The invitation arrived in a creamy envelope, heavy with pretension. Curly, gold ink spelled out each detail like a royal proclamation. Family reunion and celebration of Elena's Harvard acceptance. Beneath the fanfare, the words felt less like celebration and more like a challenge. My wife, Amelia, read it once, tossed it on the counter, and walked away without a word. I stood there holding the stiff card, my thumb tracing her sister's name, my stomach curling tighter than I expected. I hadn't seen Elena in almost a year. The last time was Thanksgiving. She'd worn a burgundy dress with a slit that seemed too bold for a family gathering, legs crossed, tongue sharp. She teased everyone, especially me. That night, as I brought her another glass of wine, she'd leaned in close and said, "If you ever get tired of cold sheets, you know where to find me." I laughed it off, pretended it didn't ignite something low in my gut, pretended I didn't remember every syllable. I should have said no to this reunion. Instead, a week later, we were packed into our black sedan, winding through country roads toward her parents' lake house. Trees lined both sides of the narrow lane like they were closing in. Amelia sat in silence, scrolling through her phone, answering texts with emotionless thumbs. Her wedding ring glinted every time she turned the screen. I watched it instead of her face. It used to be different. There were days I'd wake just to see her breathe. Lately, it felt like we were roommates who occasionally shared a bed. "Excited to see everyone?" I asked. She shrugged. "Elena's probably throwing a parade for herself," she said. "Mom probably bought her a goddamn tiara." I smirked. Amelia's tone held a bitter edge I hadn't heard before when she talked about her little sister. Maybe jealousy had settled in now that Harvard had opened its gates for Elena. Maybe it had nothing to do with Harvard at all. The lake house appeared suddenly, grand and obnoxious, as if it had sprouted overnight. White pillars, wraparound porch, flags flapping in the summer breeze. Perfect family fantasy. We pulled up. Her parents rushed out, faces too polished, smiles too wide. They hugged Amelia. Her mother's perfume wrapped around us like thick smoke. Her dad clapped me on the shoulder with that firm grip that always bordered on dominance. "So glad you both could make it," he said. "Elena will be thrilled." I bet she would. The backyard was already buzzing. Cousins, aunts, uncles, a banner that read "Welcome Future Harvard Lawyer" in obnoxious red glitter. People milled around holding glasses of sangria. It felt more like a coronation than a casual reunion. Then she appeared. Elena. Barefoot. Denim shorts hugging tanned legs. A white Harvard hoodie slightly too big, falling off one shoulder in the way that looked accidental but wasn't. Her hair was up in a messy twist, gold hoops glinting in the sun. She saw me instantly. Walked straight over, lips curved in something between a smirk and a secret. "Well, look who decided to grace us with his presence," she said. "Elena," I said, giving a smile that felt too rehearsed. "You look good," she added, voice just low enough that no one else could hear. Amelia gave her a half-hug, already turning toward the food table. "You must be so proud," I said, trying to keep things neutral. Elena tilted her head. "Are you?" "Of course. Even if I'm still the black sheep?" I raised an eyebrow. "You're Harvard now." She leaned closer, breath brushing my ear. "You always liked the black sheep better." My pulse ticked faster. She walked off before I could respond, hips swaying, feet padding across the grass like she belonged everywhere. I needed air. Or alcohol. Or both. Dinner happened under white tents strung with fairy lights. Long tables, fresh linen, perfectly arranged centerpieces. Her mother had outdone herself. Steak. Grilled corn. Kale salad with something expensive shaved on top. I chewed slowly, nodded politely through stories of Elena's recommendation letters, internships, scholarships. Every relative seemed to have something new to say about how brilliant she was. Amelia barely spoke. When her father stood to give a toast, I braced myself. "Elena," he began, raising his wine glass, "has always been a force. She never did what people expected. She challenged teachers, broke rules, followed her gut. And now? She's heading to Harvard. We couldn't be prouder. Glasses clinked. Applause. Some people even stood. I stayed seated, jaw tight, wine untouched. Elena caught my eye and winked. Subtle, quick, but unmistakable. After dessert, I wandered off alone. Down to the lake. Fireflies blinked around me. Water lapped gently at the dock. I sat at the edge, shoes off, toes barely skimming the surface. You always did like being by yourself, Elena said behind me. I didn't turn. You always did like following me. She sat beside me, legs crossed. Her thigh brushed mine. It's not following, she said. It's gravitating. I finally looked at her. Her face was calm, but her eyes blazed. You shouldn't say stuff like that, I muttered. Why not? You know why. She tilted her head. Because of Amelia? I stayed silent. Tell me something, she said. When was the last time she looked at you the way I'm looking at you right now? I swallowed. You're playing with fire, I whispered. Her hand grazed mine. Deliberate. Slow. Maybe I want to burn, she said. And then she stood, barefoot on the dock, moonlight spilling across her skin like water. You coming back up? She asked, turning toward the house. Eventually I would. But not yet. The house dimmed after midnight. Laughter faded into wine-sweetened murmurs and clinking glasses as guests trickled off to their rooms or the guest cabins nestled in the woods nearby. Amelia retired early, claiming a headache. She barely looked at me. No kiss goodnight. Just the creak of the stairs under her retreating footstep. I stood on the patio, pretending to check my phone while my mind wandered elsewhere. Inside, Elena still held court, curled into the corner of the living room sofa, hoodie long gone, replaced with a thin black tank top that clung like second skin. Her legs folded underneath her, one arm lazily draped over the back cushion as she tossed back clever barbs and laughed at things only half funny. She caught me watching through the glass door. Her lips didn't move, but her eyes said everything. Come here. I waited until the last ant finally went upstairs and silence blanketed the space between us. I stepped inside. She stood without a word and walked past me, up the stairs. I hesitated, heart thrumming painfully in my chest, lungs barely expanding. Then I followed. She didn't go to her room. She turned into the den, the one with the bookshelf wall and the old leather couch her father never let anyone touch. The door clicked softly shut behind me. Are you going to speak? She asked. I shook my head. You talk too much for both of us. She smiled, sharp, knowing. Like a game she'd already won before I sat at the board. You look tense, she said. Your trouble. That's not denial. I stepped forward, close enough to smell her skin, faint vanilla and something darker, muskier. Her fingers reached out and brushed my jaw, tracing the stubble. Does she touch you like this anymore? She asked. I closed my eyes. Elena. She pressed against me suddenly, chest to chest, hand flat against my heart. Her mouth so close, her breath became mine. I think about you, she whispered. More than I should. My hand reached for the back of the couch, gripping hard, trying to anchor myself. Her lips brushed my jaw, then my neck, grazing with maddening slowness. You should stop, I said, but my voice betrayed me, hollow, unsure, trembling. Then stop me, she said, mouth against my collarbone now. I didn't. Fingers tangled in my shirt. Lips found mine. It wasn't soft. It wasn't gentle. It was everything buried, everything denied, igniting at once. We crashed onto the couch in a tangle of limbs and need. Her hands were frantic, mine worse. She bit my shoulder through my shirt and I cursed under my breath. There was no sweetness in it. No ceremony. Just desperation. Lust that had fermented, grown rotten and irresistible. Clothes disappeared like ash. The couch groaned under us. Somewhere down the hall, a door slammed. Neither of us flinched. Her nails raked my back. I gasped into her neck. We didn't speak. Words would have made it too real, too permanent. But I was already lost. When it ended, we lay twisted together. Her head on my chest. My arm limp, draped over her waist. breath slowing, sweat cooling, shame crawling through my veins like ice. I looked at the ceiling, counting each wooden beam like penance. Elena sat up slowly, hair wild, lips bruised. She didn't look regretful. She looked victorious. "That wasn't a mistake," she said, pulling on her shirt. I stayed silent. "You know it too." Still nothing. "You going to sneak back like a coward?" she asked. "Or stay here like a man?" "I'm going to pretend this didn't happen," I whispered. She laughed short cold. "You can't. It's all over your face." She walked out before I could gather enough willpower to respond. The door clicked softly behind her. I sat there for what felt like hours, still naked, heart pounding, mind racing. Eventually, I dressed. Each layer of clothing felt heavier than the last. The hallway was dark. I crept up the stairs toward the master's suite, dread pounding in my ears louder than my footstep. I opened the door slowly. Amelia was asleep, curled away from my side of the bed. The sheets untouched. I slipped in next to her, careful not to move the mattress too much. My body buzzed with guilt and leftover heat. I stared at the ceiling again, same way I had downstairs, only now it was worse. This wasn't just lust. This was betrayal, soaked into every breath I took. I turned toward her, watched the way her chest rose and fell. The woman I'd promised everything to. And still, I thought of Elena. Of her voice, her hands, her eyes afterward. The way she hadn't looked away. I fell asleep with one arm reaching toward a woman who'd never reach back again. Morning came with cruel brightness. The kind that exposes everything. I woke to Amelia's back facing me, her shoulder peeking from the blanket like a border I wasn't allowed to cross. Her breathing was even, slow, either she was asleep or pretending damn well. I stared at the ceiling. My body felt hollow. The events of the night before didn't feel real. But I could still smell Elena's perfume faint on my wrist. I could still feel her lips tracing the curve of my collarbone. My chest burned. I got up, moving carefully, as if stepping too loudly might bring everything crashing down. In the bathroom mirror, my face looked different. Tired. Eyes darker, jaw clenched too tight. I splashed water on my cheeks, trying to erase the man who had betrayed his vows under the guise of a sleepless night. Downstairs, the house had already begun to stir. The kitchen buzzed with movement. Her mother was arranging a tray of fruit like it was an art installation. Her father read some article aloud to a cousin about Ivy League admission rate. I poured coffee and kept my eyes low. Elena wasn't there. Good. The longer she stayed away, the longer I could pretend. Amelia appeared behind me, hair tied, lips pursed. She gave me a glance that could have meant anything or nothing at all. "I'm going kayaking with my mom later," she said. "Want me to come?" "No. It's a girl thing." I nodded. She didn't smile. "You okay?" I asked, careful. "Yeah." Pause. "Just tired." She took a banana, turned, and walked away. Everything between us had already been fraying. Now, it hung by a single thread soaked in gasoline. Late morning drifted into an unbearable heat. People lounged near the lake, swimming, drinking, laughing too hard at things that didn't matter. I kept to myself, nursing water like it was whiskey, avoiding every glance that lingered too long. I found myself at the boathouse, away from the noise. The cool, musty air gave me a break from the sun, but not from my mind. She found me again. Of course she did. Elena stood in the doorway, silhouetted by sunlight. She wore a loose white dress now, barely brushing mid-thigh. No shoes again. Always barefoot, like nothing in the world could touch her. "Are we pretending last night didn't happen?" she asked. "I am," I replied, not meeting her gaze. "Then you're a better actor than I thought." I laughed bitterly. "I'm not acting. I'm trying to survive." She walked inside, closing the door behind her. "I'm not sorry," she said. I turned, facing her. "That's the problem." She tilted her head, studying me like a painting. "Do you love her?" I hesitated. "Yes," I said finally. It sounded hollow. "Does she love you?" I hesitated longer. "I don't know anymore." We stood in silence, heavy and endless. Dust floated between us in rays of light that felt biblical. She doesn't look at you, Elena said. Not the way you want. She used to. So did I. The words slammed into me like a wave. You used to? I asked. She shrugged. Before she ever introduced us. Before she brought you home and said, "This is the guy." Before I had to smile and pretend I hadn't already imagined you pulling my hair while I screamed into your neck. I inhaled sharply. You're twisted. No, she said, stepping closer. I'm honest. She reached out, fingers grazing my chest again, the same way she had the night before. But this time I stepped back. We can't, I said. You already did. That was... what? Weakness? A moment? A slip? Her eyes narrowed. You didn't look weak. You looked like someone finally awake. I clenched my fists, anger bubbling not at her, but at myself. Because I wanted her again. Because she was right. Because somewhere deep inside some terrible part of me agreed. Don't come near me again, I said, voice low. She smiled. Not cruelly, but knowingly. You'll come to me. She left without waiting for a response. I stayed in the boathouse long after, letting her scent fade, letting my guilt stew. When I returned, Amelia was on the deck, wet hair, sunglasses, drink in hand. She glanced at me. You look like you saw a ghost. Just tired, I lied. She didn't push. That evening, the family gathered again. Games, music, drinks flowing too freely. Someone broke out a karaoke machine. Elena sang something sultry and ironic, looking directly at me the entire time. Amelia didn't notice. She was arguing with her mother about salad dressing. After dinner, I disappeared early, climbing into bed alone. I didn't want to be part of this theater anymore. She came in late. No hello. No good night. Just the soft sound of her phone charging. Our backs faced each other, separated by a canyon of regret. And somewhere, deep beneath the silence, I knew the truth. This marriage had cracks long before Elena. She just knew exactly where to press. Sunday brought gray skies and tension you could slice with a butter knife. The lake lost its sparkle under a curtain of clouds. Waves lapped harder against the dock, as if echoing everything inside me. Goodbyes were happening in corners. Hugs, promises, fake warmth. I stood near the car, arms crossed, keys in hand, heart somewhere else entirely. Elena hadn't come out yet. Amelia was inside, finishing a conversation with her mother, both of them trying not to shout. Something about real estate, student loans, legacy donations. I didn't care. I only watched the door. And then, like every time before, she walked through it. Elena, backpack slung over one shoulder, holding a single mug of coffee like she owned the place. Her dress was different, longer, floral, but she still looked dangerous. She always did. She walked straight to me. You leaving? I nodded. Shame, she said. I thought you might say goodbye properly. Elena. She stepped close. Not touching, but enough that I could feel her body heat, that hum under her skin like static before a storm. I'm not going to pretend you didn't want me, she said. Even now. Look at you. Jaw tight, eyes twitching, fists clenched like you're afraid of your own thoughts. You don't understand. No, she interrupted, you don't. You don't get to pretend you were just a pawn in some twisted thing. You kissed me back. You grabbed me. You stayed. You begged without speaking. I closed my eyes, trying to stay rooted. Her voice had a gravity all its own. You don't want to love me, she said. But you did. If just for a moment. And it scared the hell out of you. I'm married, I whispered. Then why do you feel like mine? Her words landed hard. Right in the place I'd buried what little honor I had left. She reached for my hand. Just held it. Her thumb brushed the back of mine. Then she let go. Tell her, she said. Or don't. Either way, I'll be in Cambridge. Doing things. Making headlines. Breaking more rules. Maybe I'll send you a postcard. She turned and walked away, never looking back. I exhaled. Amelia came out seconds later, sunglasses hiding her eyes, lips a flat line. Ready? Yeah. The ride home was quiet. Not strained. Not angry. Just hollow. We passed trees that blurred together, billboards I didn't read, exits I didn't care about. She stared out the window the whole way. Halfway home, she finally spoke. Did something happen? My grip on the steering wheel tightened. What do you mean? I don't know, she said. You've been weird. Different. Distant. I didn't answer right away. Just tired, I said. She turned to face me. No. You're hiding. I kept my eyes on the road. I don't want to fight, I said. Then tell me the truth. She was staring now. I could feel it more than see it. Elena, I began, but stopped. Her expression didn't change. But her shoulders rose, ever so slightly. A defense mechanism. Like she'd expected this. Maybe even known. What about her? She asked. I crossed a line, I said. It shouldn't have happened. Silence. I didn't plan it, I added. But I let it happen. And I'm sorry. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She looked out the window again. I figured, she said. I blinked. What? I saw how she looked at you. Months ago. At Christmas. I knew it then. I just didn't want to deal with it. I swallowed hard. Why didn't you say something? Because I didn't care enough to fight for it anymore, she whispered. The words gutted me. You stopped loving me? No, she said. I stopped feeling seen by you. There's a difference. The rest of the drive was silent. We got home. Unpacked without speaking. The house felt foreign, like entering someone else's life. That night, we sat across from each other on the couch, two strangers in a familiar space. Do you want to fix this? I asked. I don't know, she said honestly. I do, I said. She looked tired. Then we need to burn it down first. All of it. No pretending. No lies. So we talked. Really talked. About resentment. Distance. Regret. About how her career swallowed her. How mine did the same. How we both looked up one day and couldn't recognize what we'd built. It wasn't fire that consumed us. It was frost. The next morning, she booked us a couples therapist. Said it didn't mean we were okay. Just that we weren't giving up. As for Elena, she left for Cambridge the next week. I didn't hear from her. But sometimes, late at night, when Amelia's asleep beside me and the world is quiet, I think about her. Not with lust, but with something heavier. The kind of weight you carry in your chest because you know you touched something forbidden and liked how it burned.